Charge on. Hey guys.
How you doing?
All right, is everybody good? Rolling,
Yeah.
lights, everything? Okay. We'll just open it up for questions when you guys are ready. Okay.
What does this week mean for UCF?
I think it's a big moment for our university to have a ABC primetime kick with all those households it'll be in across the country. It's just a huge platform, and obviously to host College GameDay, we're really proud to have that program. It's meant so much for decades to the sport. We're really excited. I think they're going to be impressed with what they see here with our fan base and the pageantry of college football here on our campus. Memory Mall, there's no better location than Memory Mall for College GameDay, and I'm just grateful mostly to our student athletes. People talk about a lot of the conversation that's been happening around the country about our football program and the college football playoff and some of that stuff. Well, the reality is none of this would be happening if those kids hadn't won 22 straight football games. It's amazing what they've been able to accomplish.
What was your reaction when you heard from Game Day that they were indeed coming?
I was probably a little bit surprised, but excited. I think it's again just a great opportunity for our university.
Why were you surprised?
Just with some of the conversation that's been going on nationally about whether you think our team deserves to play in the playoff or not, or more importantly for us, whether the playoff as constituted with 4 teams is acceptable to really declare the one true national champion. I don't feel like it is. I think that it needs to be expanded, and I'd like to see the conversation turn to that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it starts with the players. That's why Game Day and the 8 o'clock kick. But do you think the noise that has been created by this fan base and you contributed to maybe ESPN decide to come here?
I don't know if it did or if it didn't. I think it's mostly about the players, and credit Cincinnati to having a bounce back year. What Coach Fickle has done with their program in just his second year, for them to be in the top 25, it's a big time showdown. And the matchup this week, and certainly Game Day's decision to come here, is more evidence of what we've been saying. There's a Power 6 in college football. We've shown that on the field in the American Athletic Conference. We've shown that across the board in all of our sports. We compete nationally, and we're going to continue to do that.
Danny, Herb Street and those guys are obviously influence makers in college football. What do you hope? I mean, I don't know if you'll get a chance to sit down and talk to them. I'm sure you will. What do you hope to get them to know about UCF maybe that they don't?
I think they're going to be impressed with what they see on our campus, and I think they're going to be impressed with what they see in terms of our fan base, both in the morning at Game Day and how that stadium will be literally bouncing. It's going to be an electric atmosphere. But most importantly, I think they're going to be impressed with what they see in person on the field, on our team and on Cincinnati's team. We have high-level athletes on both sides of the ball. We can compete with everybody. We've shown that. You look at a team like Pitt and the success they're having in the ACC, and we know how that game went here. So I hope that they come away with a different impression of what UCF football, what UCF as a university is, what our fan base is, and what football in the American Athletic Conference is.
Danny, big picture-wise, when you look at what this weekend means for you guys as a program and as a school, when you look back over the last decade or so where UCF has been, well, how do you think this will kind of help continue to push the brand of UCF?
I think it's just yet another milestone, and we think that there's going to be a whole lot more milestones. The national championship banner we put up in the stadium last year, we think that's going to be the first of many. We've won 2 New Year's Six bowl games now in the last 5 years. It's amazing what this university and this football program have accomplished in just a short time. It's not just our football program that's young. It's the whole university. We're like 50 years old. The average age of our alumni base is 35. We're graduating more kids every single year than any other university in the country. So the future for us is the largest fan base in college athletics across the country. That's what we see happening with the growth potential of the city of Orlando and with this university. And I think this is just another step in the right direction. I would think this will be the first of many times that College GameDay comes here to UCF.
Behind closed doors with all the power brokers in college football, do you think people are coming around to the Power 6 way of thinking?
I don't know. I'm focused on what we're doing here, and I certainly have a lot of conversations with colleagues around the country, and people recognize the strength of our league and recognize the accomplishments of our student athletes here.
Is it frustrating that there's a double standard when you look at the college football playoff rankings every week? They talk about UCF's lack of defense, and Oklahoma has similar outcomes, yet they're not penalized, and just the metrics, the goalposts seem to change every week.
Yeah, I think I hear our fans talk about the goalposts are moving. We're coming up with different excuses this week or next week, and I think it's less about that. I think that's what's going to happen when you have a subjective process. I don't think it's the fault of the committee in that room. I think they're doing their very best to deliver what they've been charged to do, and that's the way that they see it. But there's an opportunity to have a whole lot more objectivity into this and allow it to really be settled on the field, like literally every other sport in America, college and pro. And I'd like to see us head in that direction.
And you knew you were kind of shaking the hornet's nest a little bit with the approach that you've taken in the last year. Do you feel any personal vindication with this, that the approach you've taken has been effective?
No, I don't. I don't take things personally in any of this stuff. I think that I'm doing my best to represent and to defend our football team first, and to a certain extent our university, with some of the negative stuff that's come out of really us celebrating the accomplishments of our student athletes. I'll always defend what I think is right for UCF, and I actually enjoy doing it.
You've been pretty vocal about expanding the playoff. I know you don't want to speak for anyone else, but do you hear support from others, from colleagues that agree with your stance?
I do. Yeah, I don't think it's just a P5, G5 thing. I don't think there is a P5, G5. I think if there's a power anything, it's a power 6. But it's the majority of the currently so-called power 5 schools that don't really have a realistic shot of getting in that top 4. I think that we've come a long way from when we started with the BCS. We finally staged a national championship game with what we thought were the top 2 teams. Now we've got 4, but it's still not an objective system where it really lets it be settled on the field. And I think if we do that, it would be so powerful for the game. It would make the last month of the regular season so much more intriguing. And if you ask the student athletes, I feel highly confident that that's what they would want. They want all their hard work they put in the off season and really through their whole prep career and college career to end on the field. And if you're not winning the national championship, then you should end with a loss.
But looking at the bigger picture of not just game day, not just a football team, but also this week with what volleyball is doing, men's soccer hosting an NCAA tournament game, the visibility's up, the donations are up. So with all that going on, what is it like to be Danny White right now?
It's busy. We're really trying to work to capitalize on the moment. We've had some coaches do phenomenal things. What our volleyball team has done, what our men's soccer team has done, and just a second-year head coach. It's really amazing, and it's across the board. Our spring sports are, I think, going to have great years. Both basketballs are going to have great years. It shows what we all thought. People talked about before I got here, and before a lot of us got here, that UCF's a sleeping giant. We don't talk about sleeping giant anymore. We're starting to see there is real components to our competitive advantages, and our coaches are realizing that. That's a big part of why we were able to recruit these level of coaches. They see that you can win here and do it the right way. It's just an attractive place to come and be a student athlete and compete at a high level. So I think this is just the beginning. We set up forth with our strategic plan the Knights charge to build a perennial top 25 athletic department, and we're starting to see that play out, but we have a lot more work to do.
Danny, how much of your phone has been ringing from boosters and donors and people now this week who know what's at stake this weekend, and kind of me reaching out to you to help kind of with the fundraising? Again, record fundraising last year. How big is this weekend really for you guys in that terms?
It's big. We're always having conversations with folks about making a philanthropic investment to realize the potential. This is a pretty easy sell philanthropically because there's such a huge upside here. People see that their philanthropic dollars can go a long way. We actually have an exciting announcement later this week in terms of fundraising. So we have a lot going on. My voicemail is usually full.
Danny, instead of penalizing UCF in the rankings and the committee, penalizing UCF for not being in a quote-unquote Power 5 league, shouldn't you guys get extra credit because you're doing this without the $50 million check every year?
That's a good point. We do more with less. Our staff, you guys, the ones that you guys work with, and those that work more closely with our student athletes, that they're doing the job sometimes of 3 or 4 people at other athletic departments. Our coaching staff, the same thing. We invest in talented people, and it starts with getting the right head coaches and really thinking about and finding the right people to help us accomplish what we're trying to accomplish here. But yeah, we have to do more with less, but we take pride in that.
I think Washington State, I think they talked about them having the all-time attendance record for game day. Do you think UCF fans can potentially break that game day attendance record?
There is no doubt in my mind that we will break that attendance record, whatever it is. I think that our student body and our fans are primed and ready to go. And, I talk about this a lot. We had the opportunity as a young university to really create what a lot of universities would probably do if they could start over in terms of our athletics village. And Memory Mall is such a unique setup for student tailgating. To have all that open space lends itself to an enormous crowd. I can't wait to see it.
Time for two or
have you
three
been
more
asked
here.
to be a guest? Do you want to be a guest on game day on Saturday?
I haven't been asked to be a guest, but just proud to have those guys here, and I'll certainly take every opportunity to promote what we have going on here at UCF.
Will you talk to Herb Street and those guys? Well, I mean, have you got any sort of interviews set up with them?
I don't, but looking forward to seeing those guys when they get to town here later in the week.
On Monday, Mackenzie called you one of the best athletic directors in the country. What does that mean to hear from the athletes? I mean, you give them credit, and they kind of give you credit for that.
I think he's the best quarterback in the country. So he's way too generous with his comments. All we're doing is promoting and getting behind the momentum that they built on that football field, and the momentum that a lot of our teams have built. That's what really matters. You know, we can market and scream out loud till the cows come home about how great we are, but if we're not backing that up with how our teams are competing, then it really means nothing. So it starts with those guys.
All right, last one
The
here.
UCF signs that had been a game day, whether it's Pullman, Washington, or wherever, are you anxious to see the creativity that will be on full display Saturday morning?
I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I love to see the UCF brand at game day as our alums. I'm not sure they even had to travel there because we have so many alums across the country. No matter where you go, we're going to have some in the neighborhood. But it was great to see the brand out there at other game day sites, and I think we'll see a whole lot of the UCF brand, and we'll see some good-natured humor as well here on campus.
Is this the biggest week marketing-wise and exposure-wise and publicity-wise, maybe in UCF history?
You know what? It probably is. We may have to engage another marketing study to see what the brand value is. I know it was just south of $200 million the last time through the Peach Bowl run and the Shaquem Griffin story, and it's been a great week to be a Knight, that's for sure.
All right, Danny. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Harold.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
What's your